I just look, the world feels like things are getting a little scary. And maybe I need to start thinking about what if?
With nearly 40 million units sold, Ubisoft's Far Cry is one of the most successful first-person shooter franchises. The series has a formula. You're dropped into an exotic place, and in order to get out alive, you kill as many of the natives of that exotic place as necessary. Far Cry 2 was set in Africa. Far Cry 3 was in the South Pacific. Far Cry 4, South Asia. But Far Cry 5, which came out last week, is set in rural Montana. Unlike the previous games, the promotional material for this new game seems to be inspired by current American politics. But Ubisoft insists that politics aren't the focus of this game. Instead, Far Cry 5 is about a doomsday cult. Sort of. When the first trailers for Far Cry 5 came out, some people got offended. Part of that seemed to be because, all of a sudden, instead of the foreign enemies gamers were used to, the bad guys were now mostly white dudes from Middle America.
This one is somewhere that feels a lot more familiar for most of your player base. Is that tougher to do?
Yeah. There's things you get away with when you go 1,000 miles away and nobody's ever really experienced that. Making it so that it's in your own backyard, we didn't want to make it cliche, we wanted to make it feel real.
Why cults?
What it started with was this idea of a character that was a zealot.
Some will wish to harm us. Some will wish to destroy all that we have built here together.
Somebody that was magnetic, that was religious, that was powerful.
We save those lost souls, whether they want to be saved or not.
And the word cults came out really, really quickly. And we realized we don't know a damn thing about cults. So we better get some people in here who do.
One of those people was Mia Donovan. She's become an expert in cults, partially through the process of making a documentary in 2015, which raises the question of whether or not it's ethical to make someone leave a cult if they don't want to.
I think for Dan, what he found interesting was this idea of something very violent and loving, put together. He had never really thought about the larger group social dynamics of cults. He was focused more on the leader, but I think most people are recruited by the group more than the leader.
When people think about cults, probably a lot of their information is coming from the news or from a movie or something like that. What kind of images do you think we usually have?
I think we think of Charles Manson and these runaway teenage girls who are really vulnerable in the use of drugs and the lure of free love in the hippie commune. I also think we see images of Jim Jones and the mass suicide in Jonestown. And this idea that people are hypnotized robots and they're just being told what to do and they do it. But in reality, people aren't so willing as the images may make it seem.
What was Ubisoft specifically having you do?
Ubisoft was interested in having me come in to discuss how cults use language in particular and how they interact with each other. It was clear from the beginning that this is not educational, this is entertainment, but that they really wanted to base the overall logic of the game in actual social psychology, which I thought was cool.
That seems like an interesting dilemma. Do you want your research to be used for entertainment?
I thought if they're going to make this game, I wanted them to make it as true to this sort of the social psychology as they possibly could.
Ubisoft ended up taking a lot of liberties with the cult theme. For example, the cult uses mind-altering drugs to turn its followers into zombies and make them attack you. But sometimes, cult members are really nice to you. And a lot of the things the cult says seem pretty reasonable. In fact, you spend a lot of the game wondering if, maybe, you should have just left the cult alone. Maybe you're the one who's crazy. Maybe the world really is about to end. Dan takes that part of the game pretty seriously.
When we started to develop the creative of the game, I was manic about building a single image. Just this cliff, this stick figure, and we are here. That's what the Father believes, that's what the game is about, that's where we are as a society, that's it.
So the game is less about a cult so much as it's about being on the edge of
I get asked, is it about
collapse?
America?
Okay.
Is it about a certain administration?
Is it? Because it kind of feels like it.
And the answer is, it definitely takes from all of that stuff. It definitely feels like we're very close to the edge right now. And that's the interesting thing about a cult leader. The Father says, what if I'm right? What if this is the one time where humanity is too close to the edge and it's not going to be able to pull back?
I told you that God wouldn't let you take me.
The more I got involved with the game, the more it changed how I think. And like, honestly, when I started, I drove a Prius. Halfway through the game, I bought a Jeep.
Really?
It changed how I thought.
Would you just give up? What happened?
I just like, look, the world feels like things are getting a little scary. And maybe I need to start thinking about what if?
Sounds a little pessimistic.
All I know is that I was walking in downtown Toronto and I saw this guy who was wearing this sandwich board and it said, "The end of the world is near." And I had two thoughts. Thought number one is, yeah, you're not wrong. And thought number two is, that's the first time I've had that thought.